Before humans ruled the world, the gods of Olympus decided its fate. At the very top, reigning from his throne on Mount Olympus, was Zeus, king of the gods. He held lightning in his hands and an ever-present fear in his heart. A prophecy, whispered by the fates themselves, foretold that he would be overthrown by his own child, just as he had overthrown his father, Kronos. This fear guided his every move, his every judgment, turning the most powerful being in the cosmos into a prisoner of destiny. He was a king who ruled with absolute power but slept with one eye open, forever watching the shadows for the one who would end his reign. Far beneath the sunlit world of mortals and the gleaming peaks of Olympus, in the deep, dark realm of the Underworld, ruled his brother, Hades. He was not evil, as many mortals believed, but stern and just. He was the warden of souls, the governor of the dead, ensuring that the cosmic balance was maintained. His kingdom was one of silence and shadows, a place feared by all who lived. Yet even in this realm of despair, love found a way to bloom. Hades fell deeply in love with Persephone, the beautiful daughter of the harvest goddess Demeter. Her abduction and subsequent marriage to Hades is a tale of sorrow and compromise. Because she ate the seeds of a pomegranate in the underworld, she was bound to it. A deal was struck. For half the year, Persephone would live with Hades, and the world above would enter the cold, barren months of winter as her mother mourned. For the other half, she would return to the surface, and her mother's joy would bring forth the life and warmth of spring and summer. And so the fate of one goddess created the very seasons of our world, a timeless cycle of loss and return, of darkness and light. The vast, untamable oceans belonged to the third brother, Poseidon. He was a god of immense power and unpredictable temper. When he was pleased, the seas were calm, guiding sailors safely to shore. But when his anger was provoked, the world trembled. With a strike of his mighty trident, he could summon colossal waves to swallow entire fleets, create devastating earthquakes that split the land, and send magnificent cities plunging into the watery abyss. His rage was a force of nature, a terrifying display of divine power that even his fellow gods on Olympus respected and feared. His kingdom was beautiful, but deadly, a constant reminder that the gods' moods shaped the very foundations of the mortal world. From the mind of Zeus himself, a new kind of power was born. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and righteous warfare, sprang fully formed and clad in armor from her father's head. She was not a goddess of brute force or mindless violence. She represented intellect, cunning, and the art of strategy. Where others saw only a battlefield, Athena saw a chessboard, anticipating every move, exploiting every weakness. She championed heroes who used their minds as much as their might, proving time and again that true victory was not won by strength alone, but by superior intelligence. She was the protector of cities, the patron of artisans, and a beacon of reason in a world often consumed by chaos. But chaos had its own champion. Ares, the god of war, was the embodiment of bloodshed, violence, and the pure, unadulterated rage of battle. Unlike his sister Athena, who fought for justice and strategy, Ares reveled in the pandemonium of conflict. He loved the clash of swords, the cries of the fallen, and the scent of blood on the wind. However, his brutal nature made him an outcast. He was despised by most gods who saw him as a crude and destructive force, and he was feared, not revered, by mortals who prayed to be spared from his devastating presence on the battlefield. Ares was a lonely god, his only companions being his terrifying children, Phobos, meaning fear, and Deimos, meaning terror. And then there was Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, who wielded a different kind of power altogether. Born from the sea foam, her beauty was so breathtaking it could drive gods and mortals to madness. She understood that desire was a weapon more potent than any sword. Her influence was subtle but absolute. With a single glance or a whispered promise, she could spark passionate love affairs or ignite bitter jealousy. Her choices and whims had consequences that rippled across history. It was her promise of the most beautiful mortal woman to the Trojan prince Paris that led to the abduction of Helen of Sparta, a betrayal that launched 1,000 ships and plunged the world into the legendary Trojan War. Aphrodite proved that love and beauty were not gentle forces, but powerful, world-altering energies. But the god's power could also be a terrible curse, as the story of Medusa tragically illustrates. She was once a beautiful mortal priestess serving in Athena's temple, her devotion second to none. But her beauty caught the eye of the sea god Poseidon, who violated her within the sacred temple walls. Outraged not at Poseidon but at the mortal who had defiled her sacred space, Athena unleashed a horrific punishment. She twisted Medusa's beauty into a monstrous form, turning her lovely hair into a writhing mass of venomous snakes, and cursing her so that any living creature who met her gaze would instantly turn to stone. Medusa became a monster, feared and hunted, a tragic symbol of how divine power could be unjust, and how even the innocent could suffer terrible fates at the whim of the gods. Yet, amidst the tales of divine cruelty and power, there emerged a hero who would bridge the gap between mortals and gods: Hercules. The son of Zeus and a mortal woman, he was born with godlike strength, but his life was defined by suffering. Cursed by a jealous Hera, Zeus's wife, Hercules was driven to madness, leading him to commit a terrible crime. As penance, he was tasked with 12 impossible labors, trials designed to break any mortal man. He faced monstrous beasts, outsmarted cunning foes, and even traveled to the underworld and back. Through his suffering and perseverance, Hercules showed the world that true heroism wasn't about innate power or divine parentage. It was about enduring unimaginable hardship, taking responsibility for one's actions, and finding the strength to carry on. He became a symbol of human potential, a testament to the idea that mortals could achieve greatness through resilience and courage. As centuries passed, the stories of the gods, monsters, and heroes were woven into the fabric of the world. But a dangerous pride began to grow, both on Mount Olympus and among the mortals below. The gods grew complacent in their immortality, and humans grew bolder in challenging their authority. Whispers of old prophecies began to circulate once more, prophecies that spoke not just of the fall of a single god, but of the twilight of Olympus itself. The myths served as a timeless warning. The gods were immortal, yes, but they were not invincible. Their power, their loves, their jealousies, and their fears all played a part in a grand cosmic drama governed by one force that even they could not escape: fate. And so these myths remind us that in every age, whether ruled by gods or by mortals, the same eternal forces of power, love, and fate continue to shape our world. If you enjoyed this full Greek mythology story, make sure to like and follow. And let us know in the comments which god, goddess, or hero you want to hear about next. Thanks for watching.